Today's an 11 day. That's why everything's going crazy. Why do you on the open mic? Hallelujah. Kembo. Kembo. Natatan Zambi Yamazulu. Ye ngekeno. Awe nusiemi lovuvamu. Yala. Manapumba se. Emwana. Emwana velela. Kembo. Hallelujah. Bayetin kosi. Greetings, family. Greetings to all of you that are subscribed to this channel. Greetings. May Tatanzami continue to increase your knowing understanding. We're going into a very deep subject, very deep subject today that hopefully that the Most High will protect and watch over, because it's going to expose some things that are really going to be able to help you decode the times that we're in. And it will show you the intentions of the enemy as well, as we must be prepared for. And so hopefully this will go over well. I'm coming before you to render this message, to show you the way the world once again goes back to Revelation 12 and 9 has been deceived, because Shaitani has in fact deceived the whole world. And I'm going to tell you exactly why the dollar was a standard that now is going to be changing, and the euro, how the euro came about and all that. You know, it's more complicated. It's a lot more complicated, but simple. But first of all, I want to give honor. I don't think the last time I did, but I give honor to the Most High, Tatanzami Pungu Tulendo. I give honor to Puswa Kongo, the Mwanda Velela of Congo. I give honor to the 24 elders, Bawadi Kolele, for the Indizonos against thee, Father. Pray, Father, that our people would, our sins would also be cry out to you to do what is right in your sight as well. I give honor to all of those righteous elders, righteous descendants of Isolele, of this world and of this world. I give those people honor that are walking the path that Tatanzami and Pungu has placed them on. And I pray that the Most High will give you this is the understanding of this revelation. So it's one of those things where you, with the Most High, that you're building up with him to knowledge and understanding the revelation of things and preparedness and times and seasons, so as to give a better comprehension of the world that we live in and why things are the way they are. Because in fact, this is the biggest secret as to why the world is in the position that it's in, is the purpose and the meaning of things that people don't quite get or struggle to comprehend, but they still go about it. Because the Most High says, those who remain silent will indeed be held accountable. And I'm not going to remain silent, because I know we're going to get into some deep stuff here, and that will really show you some very powerful connections here. So in my last message, I showed you the connection of where England and the United States are Revelations 10 and 11. And the revelation that came out of that is George transferred power to George. So this is going to show you that everything was intended to be, that the prophet Yakona, the Nabi, the apostle Yokana, called John, saw England and the United States when he referred to the 8th and 7th kingdoms. And now with a revelation I'm going to give you, it goes back to 1582 to 2022, and it was all about the setup. And it even goes back further than that. 1492 to 1582 was significant. And of course, it talks about in that time frame, there were things going on in the kingdom of Congo that many people are not aware of today, their history. And the plan that was manifested to change times and seasons and laws because of what was to transpire through the trading of the Bakongo people. So first and foremost, I'm going to read this scripture that comes from Matthew 22, Matthew. And this is funny how it is, the number 22, because we're dealing with the 22 this year. That you can tell that this is something that was all part of the plan. Like I said, there's a lot of coding. The secret societies did study the Bible very well, and they actually, because of what they did with it, is a lot of coding. And so you'll see that this is something that they talk about. So if you go, it says Matthew 22:20. And if you can actually do the mathematical equation, that's a 6. And he said unto them, who is this image and superscription? They said unto him, Caesar's. Then saith he unto them, render therefore unto Caesar the things which are Caesar's, and unto Tatanzambi the things that are Tatanzambi's, or just say God, but we call him Bena Kongo, Tatanzambi Pungu, because we already knew this. Okay, this is the deception. So, excuse me. So, if for any of you have ever looked at coins, or you looked at dollar bills, or you look at bills, you see that there's an image and there's an inscription. Okay, and you'll even hear people who are in Christianity, when they talk about paying taxes, they say, because you know it's that time, that they talk about, well, I'm rendering unto Caesar what is Caesar's. Well, that's the problem is, if that is what you're doing, then who is Caesar? Who is Caesar right now? Because Caesar is represented in the system of Rome as a demonic system at the time that they had conquered the Banabetu, the Bakongo, the Isolele, the Isolele, the real Hebrews, okay, which were at the time mixed in with some Khazars, of course, that were doing some things. And basically, he was talking to the Pharisees about why it should be continued to pay tribute to Caesar or not. And he knew that this was an act of wickedness, by the way. Now, there's a way that people don't understand. There's a difference between rendering unto Caesar and rendering unto the Most High. Okay, there's a big difference, and that's the Most High is going to get into it. This is where the worship of money comes into play in 1 Timothy. So I'm going to go into where Timothy talks about, now of course people want to believe the scriptures, it's all connected, people. It's coded for a reason. It's this man existed. There's some things that are written down as a first account of his writings. Yes, we know Rome has altered the Vulgate and many different things, as well as the Nicene Fathers, but we will continue to not throw away the book like Kimbangu said, but to catch the thief from which they stole, because this is what I'm doing. We're catching the thief, because one you're going to learn is that they stole the gold from Congo to make the kingdom that you now exist in today. And the presidents, or especially the first president on record, because we know there were more presidents before him, for those that know the truth, the first president on record was George Washington. And what I'm going to show you is, because the Knights Templars are actually in the Bible, and they're coded in a way that maybe many of them, they don't even know. Okay, they're in 2nd Ezra, that's for one. They're also in the book of Jeremiah, and also the book of Daniel, and they're also in the book of Revelation. And so I'm going to show you where they are and how they were, and it was intended that they would know that they would do certain things because of their interactions with spiritual beings, that you consider them to be the Most High, but they weren't. All right, so the first and foremost thing that we're going to talk about is what Timothy says. Okay. If you go to 1 Timothy 6, verse 10, okay. That's an 8 if you do the mathematical way. For the love of money is the root of all evil. Now, I'm going to show you this word money is a Kikongo word. The Kikongo they use is a different word now, but that's because they knew that they changed some things. This was actually used to be spelled M-O-N-I or M-A-N-I, which is pronounced money, money, because the A sound in English was changed. It was a ah. Now they went to an ah. There's a reason for that because they put an O to hide certain things that were encoded so that you wouldn't recognize the Kikongo that's in, or the Latin, that some of the word, so this is what they do. They've coded, the English language is coded. For the love of money is the root of all evil, which while some coveted after, they have erred from the faith and pierced themselves through with many sorrows, okay? Now, I want you to keep that in mind as I go to an article that was written by the MSN, and I'm going to show you the significance of why George Washington is on the dollar bill, okay, and why he's on Mount Rushmore. Many Christians think there's nothing wrong with that. The Most High has a big problem with Mount Rushmore, as you will soon see. And there's a reason why they're on there, because they're hiding the fact that they're actually putting themselves up as deities. But that was the whole concept of when you're dealing with the delusion that has created through what I now realize is the Prince of Persia. This was the concept of building what we now call Babylonian Egyptian mindset, with the hidden factor that people don't see the symbolisms because they're hidden from the not understanding. So Mount Rushmore, technically, as I'll go into, is a deifying effect. And there's a reason why they have the certain people on there, and why you then will see these people on the money. The real reason for why they put up faces on money is totally, it's encrypted demonic system. So one of the things that it talks about here in this article, it says here, the super rich live on a different planet. Their thoughts on US salaries prove it. Okay. It's an average American salary. What could it be? $800,000? It costs over $100,000 a year to attend the Wharton School at the University of Pennsylvania. I don't know what you get for that money exactly, but insights into everyday economy clearly aren't on the syllabus, and there's a reason for that. They don't want you to know. That's why they don't put insights in there. Nina Strongminger, you can figure out the name for yourself, you know what that is. An assistant professor at Wharton School recently asked her students how much they reckon an average American makes a year. A quarter of the class, she reported in a viral tweet, thought it was over 6 figures. One student thought it was 800,000. Of course, we know why would they would say 800,000. We know what that's about. The real figure around 53,000. That's an 8, by the way. 838. If you do the calculations, there's an 11 in there, according to the figures from Social Security last year. So the average American makes $53,838 a year. Okay. Now, we go further. Now, clearly, this is an informal poll broadcast on Twitter. It's not peer-reviewed scientific study. Of course, they don't ever validate anything if it's not scientifically vetted. This is all part of the baloney that they like to do, but you know how it goes. Still, it touched the nerve with a lot of people because of this reflection, the fact that the super rich seem to live on a completely different planet than everyone else. And this is true. Because as I will show you, their God, who their God is, and you'll see it. According to the data from New York Times, the average family of a Penn student is 195,500. Roughly 19% of the students come from the top 1% of the earners, while only 3.3% come from the bottom 20%. Okay, there's a disparity for a reason. And I'm going to get into why this disparity exists, because it has nothing to do with what people think. It's all about something that was intended for a greater sinister purpose. All right, so when we look at this, the name money is, like I said, is Kikongo. This was the title when you type in Monkongo, you will get the word Mani Kongo. Okay, and as we talked about this, it says the Mani Kongo, because this is pronounced Mani in Kikongo, Mani or Mwene, okay, Kongo, was the title of the ruler of a kingdom of Congo, a kingdom that existed from the 14th to the 19th centuries and consisted of land present in Angola, Gabon, the Republic of Congo, and the Republic of Congo, of course, Brazzaville. The Mani Kongo's seat of power was in Banza, Congo, now the capital of Zaire province in Angola. The Mani Kongo appointed governors for the provinces of the kingdom and received tribute from neighboring subjects. So you're seeing that when they came across this place in the 14th century, and this is what I'm going to get into, when you go to 1582 to 2022, you're going to get 450 years. I did the math on this to today. Okay, that's a 9 if you do the math. So it's not a coincidence that the new Solomon, okay, the new Jerusalem is now on the cusp of returning, because this is the significant factor that plays into what they knew was the truth versus the lies that they've been teaching all these years about what they knew about the kingdom of Congo, that they knew that Congo, what it meant, that they understood who the people of Congo were, that they knew the significance that it was a system that ran financially as well as spiritually in the way of the Most High Tatanzambi and Pungu. And also, then that's why they used the name, because in the early days, the British did not use the word money for their coins. They just these shillings or shillings usually, but they didn't use that name. This name became popular in referencing to when the time came to use this wealth that they had obtained, because it was an extremely rich kingdom of gold and many precious stones and all these things, to then further the wealth of European colonizers. Okay. However, as we have demonstrated, the whole world belongs to Congo. So anything that is gold that is found, especially when his people were scattered and they were found with abundance in different places, which is the truth, because the wealth would follow us, because that was the promise to Yakuba, and of course the founder Abana, Abraham, that the wealth would go where we go. So as we talk about, this is the whole concept behind Zechariah 5:1 that people don't comprehend when he says, those that stole, okay, will be dealt with. So when you're talking about that, it means that wherever gold was found or precious stone was found, no matter what the people called themselves in the regions they found it, the gold belonged to the Most High Congo. Okay, he provided this gold around the earth. So when we go to looking at the $1 bill, for example, you see the inscriptions. There's a reason why it starts with the G. What people understand. It's noted legal tender for all debts, public and private. Okay. There's a reason why he is here. That's a more different mindset, okay? And I'm going to take you to when it talks about in Matthew 6, where he says, and this is Matthew 6:24, which if you do the math, this is a 66, by the way. No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other, or else he will hold the one and despise the other. Yea, you cannot serve Tatanzambi or the Most High and Mammon. Now remember what I just showed you about the disparity in the wealth, okay, of those who have and those who have not. Okay, we talked about the average income of the American. Now, of course, you go around the world and the disparity is even greater than that. But remember, the system right now, okay, that many people gauge wealth is by the dollar system, the tender. There's a reason for that, okay? Because what is intended for what you don't know about President George Washington is he really was an elected king or anointed. King George was an anointed ruler. So there was a power transfer, and it goes down to what it talks about in Revelation 7 and 11. You had the lion, because if you remember the totems that we talked about through Yahya, the totem, you had the lion transferred to the eagle. This goes into the same reference of 2nd Ezra when you talk about the lion and the eagle, okay? But the lion that is being represented as the totem for England this time is not Simba Wayuda, Judah. It is Nimrod, because he was known also as a lion king for because of the lion's gate, okay, and the Prince of Persia. We know that the secret society Freemasonry started in England, okay? But prior to that, it was known as the Knights Templars, who were affiliated with Rome. Okay, they're still the same stuff. That's why they have the Knights of Columbus and all that. Okay, so what we're getting at is when they put him on the dollar bill, the understanding was he was now replacing Tatanzambi and Pungo Tulendo to the Bena Kongo people. Now, this is a hidden thing for the people of their own kind, because like I've told you, the powers that be above these people, the Rothschild, Rockefeller, and all those people knew that this is about the Goyim. Okay, they don't care about the sheeple. What they're concerned about is the Kingdom of Congo, which is one of the reasons why they have used this standard. If you go and you look at why do people fight wars? Why do people, what is it about? Resources, the controlling of wealth, the controlling of who has and who doesn't. When you see that America has allowed itself to become the wealthiest country in the nation, the deception is they don't tell you how we have become the wealthiest country in the nation. Is because they're using the gold of Congo, because the gold standard is what they use. Well, who does that gold belong to? Let's go back to the Mockery, The Wizard of Oz. This is a movie that was designed as a secret because we talk about the people who know about the straw man, okay? The straw man is the other half of you that they use to put you into debt, when they have the one that's alive and the one that's dead. And we know that for those who are woke, that your birth certificate and everything, the United States is a corporation, that you are the tender as well, that they use to demonstrate how they do the debt to racial income. Okay, this is why you have to have a middle class in order for it to function. Because if you have just poor and rich, you cannot circulate the wealth in the system properly. But now, at this point in time, it doesn't matter anymore because the system has now served its purpose for what was intended. And this is why we're going into what we're doing now. When you're seeing the instigation of the war with Russia and everything that's going on and the things that's happening, is the real need of the system has now come to what they have desired, is the one world, NWO. Okay, the one world religion, all of that. Okay, and like I said, they, as anybody will know, numerology is something that is significant among both the Most High and among those who serve the devil. Because like I've always said, there's only two kingdoms. So whatever you can, when you have civilizations on the earth, they can only belong to one kingdom or the other. They can't be both. This is the deception. Okay. So if you don't belong to the kingdom of the Most High, then who do you belong to? You belong to Lucifer. If you're lukewarm, you're automatic. If you're lukewarm, especially in Christianity and any other religion, if you're lukewarm, you're automatically default God is Lucifer. This is what it's saying in Revelation. Your default God is Lucifer. So if you're lukewarm, which is many things that happen out of the Rome-based Christianic system, the Church of Laodicea, you are automatically by default working for Lucifer, because if you're lukewarm, you cannot be with the Most High, period. Okay, that's what was said in the scriptures, if y'all will understand. And this is how they've been able to deceive for so many long over the concept of the money system. So the one thing that we understand in this world is, if you don't have this paper, and you've heard people sing about it in rap songs, and I'll even go over a song that's very important. If you don't have this paper, you are considered what? Unsuccessful. If you don't have income, if you don't have wealth, and see, this is why the whole concept, as when I was listening to the brother who talked about what happened with colonization in Africa, they didn't want you to think for yourself. They wanted a workforce. So they taught you needless information. This is why the educational system is set up the way it is. Like I just said, when I read about the person who said why they don't teach you the truth about the economic system, is you're not supposed to understand it, because you're supposed to fit where they put you. Because only those that are chosen will actually obtain a certain level. And this is the deception behind wealth. Like I said, it's not what you know, it's who you know. This has always been the way it works. Okay. So this is one of the ways that even in the deception through prosperity gospel and teachings and whatever, they use this as a means to obtain the blessings concept that will keep you in the way of seeing that the way to heaven can also be seen as those who have monetary prosperity, which was not the case. Yes, King Solomon was very wealthy because of his wisdom, but he also, what did he do with the wealth? It wasn't just for him. He understood this. Okay. Now, did he always operate like this? No. And this is the problem that has always plagued us, you see. So now let's get into the whole concept here of what we're dealing with. So now, as the revelation came to me, everything started and began with George Washington. Why is this important? Because he was the deity mindset that was put in place because of what they did when they immortalized him in his statues, and also the money, and also his monuments. Okay. So we have the George Washington monuments. Okay, you have this monument here, which I don't know why it disappeared. But you have this monument here. Let's pull it up closer. And then you actually have what they call the George Washington Masonic National Memorial. And as you can see, they're both obelisk shapes. Okay, which for people who don't know and how deceived they are, This is an Egyptian symbol representing Osiris and what happened to him when he was the Babylonian Prince of Persia, which is actually part of what they call the Kingdom of Babylon, Nimrod. Okay. So now, the reason why he would be on the $1 bill and then the quarter, of course, is 25 cents. And there's a reason because it's a 7. 7 is a number that they use for the holy deity, for a God figure. Okay. So the concept is he was to be seen and immortalized to you as a God figure to the moon too. Not necessarily to the the colonizers and everybody else who didn't know this. He was to be seen as a mortal because they wanted, remember I told you the concept of the white God concept, we know that the whitewashing that they have done. You are to, those of us who were in slavery, those of us who were in the system were to see him as a deity-minded figure because we were worshiping the white images. Because of what happened with Rome, because of what happened with the things that Pope Alexander VII did, okay? And then of course we know when they made the Gregorian calendar, that was to change, that was Daniel 7, which is what happened 450 years ago. This is why now the kingdom is righting itself from what was turned upside down. And that was when things started to really get turned upside down, okay? Now, his affiliation and connection was also to Rome because he honored the Pope, as well as the fact when he was a Quaker Christian. Okay, he knew, people knew, okay, that there was another side because he was a Knights Templar Masonic person, and he was one of the founding fathers of this nation, which goes to the fact that when you call him a founding father, then you replace him with the Most High, because technically the Most High is the one that allows nations to rise and fall. So technically he should be the one, and of course they put the so-called "in God we trusting," but the God that they're talking about is not Tatanzambi. Why? Because they're showing you the concept that money is what runs the system. This is Caesar, render what he's talking about, okay? And one of the things that Bena Kongo was saying is you cannot render to Caesar and the Most High at the same time. Okay. Now the Most High will give you the means to take care of your things with Caesar. Because I talked about one of the ways that Bena Kongo paid his taxes, when he was able to get the money out of a fish to give to pay his tax. That the Most High can provide to help you render what belongs to Caesar. And this is the manipulation that was used. Okay. By buying into the system that is Caesar's, you will benefit from Caesar's system. Okay. And this is the whole mindset behind what they did, really, because they really didn't change much from what happened between England and what they did. They just made it look like now the people will have a say. Okay. And instead of just taking their money, we let them know why we're taking their money. Big difference. Not much difference there. Okay. So now we're going to go to the lyrics of the OJs. I'm not going to play the song, you know, how to go copyright, all that stuff. But if they would ever let me play it, I'll be glad to play it. But it's connected too. So it starts off with the money, 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 of course, for the love of money. This is a Kikongo word. It's a holy word, really. But we don't know this because they hide this. Okay. I'm going to skip down to where it says, some people got to have it. some people really need it. So what they're showing you is, this is what is the driving force that makes you who you need to focus on. And this is how everything works cyclically in this system is, without this money, you gotta have it. This is why we even have songs where like El Cutter's like, gotta chase this paper. Hey, did you ever think that you would be this rich in that song? Okay. So what they're showing is, you are born into the system where you have to chase the paper in order to be anything significant as a success. Okay. And this is kind of set up where we're talking about the 1%ers and those who, the 99ers, is they understand that this is what they call putting the carrot in front of the horse mentality. This is what they did. And they don't, like I said, it's not about what they did to their own people. It's about what they did to the Bena Kongo. That basically they conditioned us that you can't have it unless we tell you you can have it. That was in the beginning with slavery. And then it went to, if you want it, you have to earn it the way we tell you how to earn it, which is what was created with the whole system. Because most people don't even know that many of the majority of people who started businesses in the olden days did not have to work up a ladder like they want to teach you now. Or they founded a product, boom, we needed this product. They made money off of this. But there was always what they call old money, people who already had things. And this is the system that was given over through the Prince of Persia, okay? That people don't understand that this is what Masa and we talk about, where this is done through actually witchcraft, that people don't understand, because the Most High's way about wealth is way different than how the world interprets it. Okay, this is the problem. So it says, do things, bad things with it. Now we know, and I'm guilty of this myself, when it talks about bad things, you have to understand the context of the Most High's way of bad things versus the way of the world's bad things, because this is the problem. Because the Most High looks at it differently than how the world looks at it. That's why he says, lean not on your own understanding, because how he interprets what you're doing with your money is different than the way you interpret what you're doing with your money. And this is exactly why we say, people would say, oh, well, it's my money, I do how I feel. Or they tell you how to do it, use it. They tell you how to, save it. They tell you how to spend it, ways to get wise about it. I've been through this even with my own father. But the thing that people don't understand is, this is not built. This is why it was an issue when we started to realize we could do this on our own without them. Once we understood the concept is that we were doing it for the benefit of our people and not just for the wealth, okay? This was a big problem. Okay. Now, we want to do good things with it, yeah. Now we know the word kesh, we found out that this comes from the word kush, because we used to say kesh for the word kush. And moni, as we now know, comes from Moni Kongo, the Kikongo word for holy, or so money makes it, they say money is like kind of holy. Okay, so now it's putting you in the mindset of money becomes your God, that you're trying to pursue it through the system that has been given to you, but you're asking the Most High for the blessing for the God that you're not supposed to be worshiping in the first place, because that's why you have the face on there. That is the representation of why he is deified, okay? Because he is a Caesar figure. That's the whole concept. But of course, they always come up with fancy ways to explain it so that you don't see that. And it says, for the love, now let me go back to 1 Timothy, it says, for the love of money, people will steal from their mother, people will rob their own brother. And this is not just about people committing crimes against people. This is also people who use schemes that are even legal to take money from people. It's not just because the concept, whenever we see the word steal or rob, we automatically think criminal act. Someone is doing it illegally, but there are also ways to do this legally, but it's still wrong in the eyes of the Most High, because this is how the system works. They are legally stealing the wealth from you, and most people don't even recognize this. And really, the focus is on stealing it from those who it was meant for as an inheritance through the delusion that has been created. Okay, but of course, this all goes back to the fall of the Isolele. So the concept is they wanted to make sure that the Bena Kongo were begging for what was theirs through their god, the dollar bill, chasing the paper that's not worth anything, but is the gold standard. And of course, when they put it in the Wizard of Oz as a coding, okay, the Tin Man was us, who were basically heartless to do anything about it. The straw man was the ignorance to even know what was being done to you. Of course, we know the dog Toto is world in Kikongo, that you're in another world. And of course, the cowardly lion is the mockery of Simba Wayuda, who doesn't have any confidence over the wizard. And we know the wizard is Lucifer, who has basically brought the wool over the eyes. Now we go to the good witch, bad witch concept. The good witch is actually the bad witch, and the bad witch is actually supposed to be the Holy Spirit. Really, the flying monkeys represent the Bantu, the Maleki Congo. There's a duality to that. Okay, the follow the yellow brick road is basically what you have to is the solid. Okay, and of course the red slippers, the ruby slippers or whatever, that's for those who know about the Red Shoe Club, that's about keeping your mouth shut. Okay, that you don't know what this is about. And of course, pulling the curtain from behind the wizard is lifting of the veil, which is the time when we come to the end and the lion, of course, the cowardly lion, he gains his power, which is the return of Kuswa Kongo, when he starts to realize I am a king. Okay, that's the end of the wizard. Okay, and that's what they're talking about. They knew that time would come, and this is what you're dealing with today, the time of the end of the wizard. Okay, so now when we go to the word that they use in Kikongo for money, this is the wrong one, sorry. We see that they use the word mbongo, okay? But like I told you, money itself was already a Kikongo word, and they know that. Now let's go to Isaiah 24, because this is playing into the role of what's going to happen, because the Most High is not going to continue to allow this, and this is what they know. But in their minds, of course, when you're wannabe gods and you have that mindset of a pharaoh, it's like we can defeat this God. And people don't understand is they are working against the God of creation when you think they are on his side, and they are not. and they are confederate as one, because they made you think that they're divided like Democrats and Republicans, Russia and America, China, and all these different things. They look like they're separate from each other, but they're really together. And that was the whole concept of what the secrets of the higher level beings wanted to portray, that they are all still on one accord against the Bena Kongo. That's why they keep everything hidden about the knowledge of the Bena Kongo and who we are. And they put the name, they know that the kingdom, the world belongs to Congo, so they hide it under the Kong, and of course they changed the Congo to a C. So when they look at the people in Africa, they say, oh, you're Congolese, they think it's just a country. And it's more than that. That's a lie. It's an entire world belongs to Congo. He is the King of Kings. And of course, the mockery of those who don't like him is the gorilla, because they know he's Black. And they've always mocked the Black people, even in the time of colonization and all these other things, as apes. We've always been called the apes. They've drawn us in images like that, you know, the dancing monkey, you know, ape, what do you call it? When we used to put on when they used to put on a tuxedo, the monkey suit, okay? You know, we used to see how they mocked us as the Sambo and all that. It's like a Sambo means prayer and all these different things. And that's what people don't understand. Like samba means prayer, and it's they then into a dance. The kimbo, the dance, they turn it into, from holy to, they use it as a way to party instead. They took the kimbo, like I talked about, and I did the music. I have to redo that one because I know it was hard to see it. It messed up. But they took the music and they turned it into calypso and soca. And soca genie is really the kimbo moving, the kimbo dancing. And we used to jump, as we know, jump for the power of the Most High. So that's where they get the concept of jumping Jack, because Jack is the nickname for Jacob. Okay, because we used to be jumping for their power. Okay, then well, want to help me. The understanding is everything that was Bantu would be put in our faces, but mocked. That's why even Simon says is a mockery of the Most High, because Simo comes from seed sower, Sema, as we now understand, where it's the Simon or Simon, it's like Simao or Simo. That's why they put it in the mockery of the prayer of high. Simos, help me. Okay, because we're talking about away, CME. That was the way we talked about it. So is the seed sower with you? Okay. And of course, General Thade is translated as gift of God or gift of the Most High. So that is mocking Kuswa Kongo, because he was a gift from the Most High. Okay. And of course, the false Messiah, calling himself Yamitz or whatever you want to say, means that was a Yoruba word, which is where that kingdom of Kush was kind of in that area, you know. And the problem is, as we now learn but I did my research and I read that whole legend of the Jews thing, is that Abana was really the king of the earth. So the inheritance was all his, Abraham, which is weird to how he would respond to the Pharaoh, which he was actually seen as higher than by the Most High. But that Pharaoh was also Bantu as well. He was a Bakongo, but he was worshiping Cyrus after the death of Nimrod, when that's the name he was called by. The first name he was called by after he was killed by Esau was Osiris. Okay. So now, when we go to this scripture, it says, behold, Yahweh Kongo, the Most High, maketh the earth empty, and maketh it waste, and turneth it upside down, and scattereth abroad the inhabitants thereof. And it shall be as with the people, so with the priest, as with the servant, so with his master, and as with the maid, so with their mistress, and as with the buyer, so with the seller. As with the lender, so with the borrower, as with the taker of usury, so with the giver of usury to him. The land shall be utterly emptied and utterly spoiled, for the Most High has spoken his word. And the word, of course, we know is Congo. The earth mourneth and fadeth away. The world languisheth and fadeth away, and the haughty people of the earth do languish. And this is what we're going into now. So as they're sitting here pushing the narrative, and of course it's an instigation, this is what they do. They're giving you what they're saying about between them and Russia is the validity for the same thing like what happened with Japan and also what happened with Germany and all these other places. The validity for America to be concerned for their well-being of war, of course, not realizing that this is actually the intent is to move on to the next phase, to be the kingdom that they want to be, to rival the Most High's kingdom that's coming. That's why the NWO is meant to be the counter to New Solomon, or the one world religion, one world government, one world everything is to be the counter. And they're using that place in Dubai, the UAB, as the headquarters because it is connected to history of Nimrod's kingdom, that was something that was considered, I believe it was called Heliopolis, okay, the city of the sun. And so that region was pretty much seen as that, and that's what Elio was talking about in his prophecy when he talked about the city of the sun. The earth also is defiled under the inhabitants thereof because they have transgressed the laws. Now, this is for people who say, yeah, the law's been done away with. No, because he's saying the earth is defiled because they. And see, that's one of the things that I was trying to get across is Noka, or Noah, and Semi, Shem, Samu, Kama, or Ham, and also Yapeta, Yafet, were Bena Kongo. They were Bantu, because we had a guy say, oh, the history of Bantu. No, they were Banabetu. They were Bantus. They were the people. So their descendants were technically all Bantu or Bakongo, but the changes came with the sins and the modifications because the fallen angels did exactly like they did in the days of Noka and the days of Hanok, where they mixed with the different races. They came and they did all the changes. And this is when you come up with the different names of the different, because there were 70 tribes, as we understand, the Nilotics and all this stuff that was going on. There was war going on between the people that caused them to be disconnected from Kongo. And this is where the name changes started to happen and the different beliefs and all the stuff that they did. Okay. And what transpired from there, okay, now we know the time frame, we want to say thousands of years, whatever. If you go off of when they keep talking about the geological time frame of how they name people of so many thousands of years, you're going off of a system that was created through the fallen angels, because they're trying to hide themselves from humanity and the concept that they always had a hand in moving us forward. And they've even put this in movies as the aliens. Okay, the aliens are them. Okay, the hybrids, the demonic people, even people have now said they know that there's an agenda. There's a preacher that was talking about it. But of course, in Christianity, you don't think that they're in that religion, and they are. This is what Charlie Sheen was actually saying in the movie Arrival. Okay, that these beings could now be whomever they choose to be to hide themselves among you. And you don't even know, it could be the neighbor. He didn't catch on to the end. Man, it was a neighbor who called the cops on me, these guys on me. He thought it was his girlfriend, because he was like, oh, I'm seeing this. And he went and he saw what they were doing. Yes, they're very active in Mexico and South America and all around, but they're also active here too. But they want to say that they're aliens, and they're not. Big deceptions. There are different realms that people can go through stargates but they're all modified beings that were created through the fallen angels, whatever you want to call them, because they make all kind of stuff. They try to mess everything up. That's the concept. So now it says, therefore have the curse devoured the earth, and they that dwell therein are desolate. Therefore the inhabitants of earth are burned, and few men left. Okay, this is also validated in the second book of Ezra, and this is also Obadiah 1:18. The new wine mourneth, the vine languages, all that merry-hearted do sigh, because it's going to be a time of great destruction for those of us even who are chosen. Okay. The mirth of tabrets seek the noise of them that rejoice, ended the joy of the harp seek. They shall not drink wine with a song, strong drink shall be bitter to them that drink it. The city of confusion is broken down. Okay, the biggest and the most largest city of confusion on the entire planet is New York City. Everybody's system, if you look at all the cities around the world, New York City is the architect that they base everything off of what they have structured around the world is when it comes to cities. Because remember, it was the first city with skyscrapers and stuff that they were building. Okay. There is a crying from the wine in the streets, all joy is darkened and mirth of the land. And I'm going to tell you where you actually were told this ahead of time, and they had to act like the dude was, he knew he was drunk, he knew what he was talking about. Cohen, the dude who said when you come back to, they said he went on his rant and he said, next year they're not going to be dancing and singing like this, they're going to be fighting, and you know, he was talking. Well, yeah, okay, because now the purpose of why they have you worshiping George Washington is no longer needed, because now the God that they're waiting for is here. Okay, because the spirit of Nimrod was attached to George Washington. He's attached to all of these presidents. That's why the Most High has issues with them, because they know he gave the power over to help us to restore, and they're supposed to be, but he runs the interference. It's like, no, I hate these people. Not doing nothing for them. Okay. When thus it shall be in the midst of the land among the people, there shall be a shaking of an olive tree as the gleaning grapes with the vintage is done. So how do you shake an olive tree? Earthquakes. Earthquakes are going to make these cities desolate. They shall lift up their voice and they shall sing for the majesty of the, they shall cry aloud from the sea. Yeah, because the sea's going to be going crazy. Look what happened with the tsunamis. Wherefore the glory ye Tanzambi in the fire is even the name of Tanzambi of Isolele in the isles of the sea. So this is why we're saying is that our voice that's going out now, even on YouTube and all the other things, they're starting to see who the Most High is, the truth about it. From the uttermost part of the earth have we heard songs. Yeah, because you see people singing. Matter of fact, I was watching a movie and they had Russian rap. I'm sitting there like, okay, so this is the thing. We influence, that's why we influence everybody else's culture, because of who we are. And that power is taken from us and distributed, and they use it. And they are actually the ones that we build the wealth. But our people that obtain that wealth, they have to do things for that. And that's what we're saying. The music industry, as many people know, is very, very satanic for those that understand what the intention is. Okay. They're not using the songs to help glorify the Most High. Okay, they're using them to activate whatever spirit that they want you to function under, that will lead you to do the things that you want to do based upon what you think is right. Like I told you, that was done even the days of Noka, as we read in the, book, the second book of Adam and Eve, when Shaitani went into the instruments. And he did it again. From the uttermost part of earth have we said, but I said, my leanness, woe unto me. What is he saying? You're gonna be broke. Then a broke then a joke. You're gonna be like the wino sitting on it. You know, you see the people who are like they call them the bums, or they want to call it, you know, these people. This is what he's talking about. You will be like this. The treacherous dealers have dealt treacherously, yes, because if you look at every type of loan, who does it benefit? Not you, but them. So you're legally giving the permission to take your money for something that they offer at a price where you could not afford it, but they can. They pay cash for a car. They don't have to pay. They can pay cash for a car. They don't have to get loans. And that's what everybody wants to strive for, to where it's like, oh, now I can have this car. I don't have to pay no car note. Okay. Yea, the treacherous dealers have dealt very treacherously. And this is the straw man that they have made, that many people don't understand, is the system that causes you to see money as your God. As mocking of Moni Kongo, which is really what Isaiah was. He was a Moni Kongo. He was, Kuso Kongo was a Moni Kongo. Okay. Fear and the pit and the snare are upon thee, O inhabitant of the earth. It shall come to pass that he who fleeth from the noise of the fear shall fall into the pit. Yes, this is coming. And he that cometh up out of the midst of the pit shall be taken in the snare. And I have seen this. For the windows from on high are open, and the foundations of the earth do shake. How do you shake the foundation? Earthquakes, 2012 movie. The Joe Brandt dude had a vision about it. You know, this is what's going to happen. The earth is utterly broken down. Okay. And this is what they realize. This is going to happen. This is coming to you now. Okay, for those, but of course they're seeing it as in their favor, that this will be their way. But the Most High has a plan that they don't know, and it's going to show up real soon. Okay. The earth is utterly broken down. The earth is clean, dissolved. The earth is moved exceedingly. The earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard, and shall be removed like a cottage. And the transgression thereof shall be heavy upon it, and it shall fall and not rise again. What he's saying is that's those who are continuously living in sin, or constantly promoting sin, really, or those who are constantly interacting in it with the intent to harm others, specifically because like I said, he said that this is what they have led Jacob astray, they would pay for it. Okay. All right. And it shall come to pass in that day that the Tatanzami shall punish the hosts of the high ones that are on high. Yes. So all of these so-called big time leader dudes, secret governments, all this other stuff, all of these people who live on high, who have the 1% of the wealth that put themselves, boom, they are going to get hit. They won't see it coming because they think they have foresight and all this other stuff. The Most High don't see nothing. You can't take. He allows things to happen and he can take it away like, whoa, we don't even know what's going on anymore. And the kings of the earth upon the earth. So who do you think that is? This is why people must really pay attention to the fact that they tell you to obey your government, but your government is going to get punished. Right here is what he's saying. And they shall be gathered together as prisoners are gathered in a pit, and shall be shut up in the prison, and after many days they shall be visited. And this is your FEMA camps. Boom, right there. And you'll see who's going to be running them. You'll watch the Armageddon movie. This is what Alex Jones was talking about. But they don't want to tell you because it includes people who think. Now, I listened to the guy, I can't remember his name, that played in he did a rally, and this was I said the weirdest place. He does a rally in Vegas, in Sin City, to talk about God, where they're trying to do a revival in a movement, which I started to say they're trying to bring people away from the sin. However, he himself is connected to Ishtar, which people don't understand he is. Because the problem is, what do they really do with the money when you go to these? I mean, I remember, they had Joyce Myers was here in Colorado Springs. I went to a function where they were doing a music thing, and you had to go put money in the bucket, and everybody was doing donations. And then they tell you this is what they're doing with the money, is they're going to help people who are starving. But then you go to the places where you say they're helping, and there's no change. And that's what made me say, what's really going on here? Because the amount of money that they should be collecting to help those they claim they're helping, I saw like one or two maybe nice things that they did. Yeah, cool to say that they're doing it, but the whole system is still messed up. Just like when I was telling them about the person who said the truth about what happens to the clothes that you send to Africa, is they don't get those clothes for free. They actually have the people who commandeer the what's being given, and then resell it. And those who are meant for it, they don't get it. But the government, what did they do about that? That's the issue. They know. They don't want people to rise, people, especially the Bena Kongo. They need to keep you chasing the mighty dollar. This is why to take it away destroys the system, which is what's going to happen, because to destroy the system means that you will then beg even more for what you don't have. And you will become dependent upon and willingly given your whatever you need to be in it. And this is why you will take the beast mark and not even question it. Okay, they did this with what happened recently. I'm not going to go deep into it, but people who know, they made people desperate already. You don't even understand. Okay, I can't go too much longer because I'm gonna stop here. But I might do a part 2. But all I'm trying to say is they have already made money your God in secret, but you didn't know because of the way that the system is designed that you think it becomes a blessing when the Most High gives you certain things. Okay. Now let's go into real quick when he talked about give to the Most High. What is the Most High? What you give to the Most High. Okay, and this is not the same as what churches teach at all. Okay, is that he asks of you in order to do his kingdom the way it should be. And this is what he was trying to get the people of Isolele to understand. You have gifts, you have abilities, you have blessings that the Most High has given you because they're never taken away. And those are supposed to be used to benefit him. Now, here's the delusion on the world. You think that the societies that you're living, that you're contributing to, is helping the kingdom of the Most High. When you give to Rome and give to this and that, in the community, you really think that you're working towards the benefit of benefiting, but he knows many of the things that are happening in this society, the work is in vain. That's why it says the work is in vain. How is it in vain? Because of what is going on with the treachery. They created the disparity on purpose to make you struggle so that you would always beg on high, the wrong on high, by the way, to receive your pittance. Okay? Because everything is meant to keep you in debt on purpose. They know this. If you don't have a debt to income ratio, if you don't have this system, you cannot have a capitalist mindset. They convince you that capitalism is okay, and to go against it is government, anti-democratic, whatever you want to call it, when the Most High himself does not agree with the system. Tatanzambi and Pungu, Kongo, the Most High, the Bible, he teaches the exact opposite of everything that you are taught in a system that is capitalistic. Even in the system that they claim, which is a lie, the communist system is still not right, because the people on top are still making money, and they choose to share it the way they want. That's not even distribution. That's why the people in the China, go try to see if you can match up with the leaders at the top of China. They still running the show, even though they claim to be, everybody gets the same. No, they don't. Or you wouldn't be making all the money you're making when we see with the Chinese businessmen. So there is a delusion there. Mockery is a very good example of that. There's a huge disparity. But you convinced that everything is okay. Because what you're conditioned to believe, you will follow. Okay? So one of the things that they like to do to make you so you don't see it is to create those who are benefiting those who really have a need, when they don't understand the need was created on purpose. The disparity, like the person said, when you talk about the average income of every household, there's a reason for that. So then when you look at the people who are the big money people, oh, let's do the foundations, let's do these different things, oh, let's contribute, but you don't really see where the money, you don't see the wealth transfer. It looks good when they're up there advertising it, but where does it go? What happens to it? Does it really benefit what they say? And that is the delusion, because if you never see what they're talking about, then you don't know. But the Holy Spirit, the true Mwanda, will give you the revelation if you are really connected to see. No, it does not. But because of what they have dumbed you down with, starting with the Statue of Liberty and what that stands for in real life, not in the matrix, you can't see. You're like this, blind. The true reason why they send people into wars is not what you think. Never has been. Not even since the days of Babylon and Egypt has it ever been the correct, what they really send you to war for. Has nothing to do with enemies, or as they say, as much as it is to do with control, power, wealth, and money of the resources. Who has it, who doesn't? That's what it's about. And to convince people to go do things for sacrifice, That's why they use that's why they like to use that word sacrifice, because they know that's exactly what it is. It's a sacrifice to Mana. They know this because this is their God. But this is why they're so much connected to what King Solomon did, because they know he turned over to himself and caused the division of the kingdom of Isolele, where witchcraft was allowed to fester. And this is why Isaiah came and said, "This is not my kingdom. You let too many witches and warlocks and things mislead you. You have false spirits everywhere. This is why you guys aren't understand what I'm talking about." Hence, when Simon Toko came, same thing. He was like, "Hey, you guys don't even know what you're worshiping." That's why he told a woman, the Canaanite woman, that many people in America, they don't even really know what they're worshiping. You see? And this is why it becomes a problem for you, like myself, even included in this. When you recognize what is going on, then the system recognizes you are a problem. But see, now the world is so much in a disparity that most people only listen to what I say. Those who listen to what I say are the ones that know what they're doing. They're like, yeah, but okay, fine. Nothing you can do about it now. You're already stuck. Okay, they already got you. Many of you have already got. So it's like, we don't care. We already know. You ain't gonna do nothing about it until Lamilia 1619 must take place. And this is what they know will eventually be the revolt. This is what you're doing now. This is what the revolts are. They're like, hey, we've been taught lies. But they make it look like these people are troublemakers. They're trying to take away democracy. They're trying to no. They're trying to wake the sheeple up to say, first of all, it's not a democracy. That's a lie. Go look at the seal. Alone tells you what the United States is. It's a republic. This is on the seal. A republic means you are represented by a governing body that you are supposed to appoint to that position. And then they do things for you. That's not a democracy. A democracy says the people do everything. Even with the people who are up, you go and you tell them what to say. That's a democracy. You don't get to, they say, oh, we misrepresent the American people. You don't get to go into Congress and tell the congressman what to say and what to do. You don't get to go tell the president. That's a democracy. Okay. So the reality is semantics, how they use words in itself, as he says it right here. Treacherous dealers. This is what we call double speech, double talk, whatever you want to call. Okay, this is why a lot of things are starting, even stuff that's high, there's a lot of events, and they're blinded you to it, that are happening in different parts of the world that are actually culminating into what will be, damn, you get sideswiped. There's gonna be, we know, for those of us who are woke, as the Most High has told us, a massive event against the United States again. And the world and other places, there's a war brewing, and they're doing exactly like what happened in the last two. Instigation that will result in an attack. But the attack that will come will not be normally what you've been trying to see because of the technological changes that you will not be able to understand. You can use the weather, which is something that they're mocking what we should be able to do, Bena Kongo, against people. You can use like there's no cyber attacks, all these different things. We're already at a de facto state of war with Russia as we speak. No one understands this because they've already been doing things back and forth. But of course, it's all, the real hidden agenda is it has nothing to do with anybody else but what the Most High is talking about here. They're doing this because they know this is what the Most High is going to do to them and to us if we're not attached to the real truth. Like what he did to those who don't want to leave the captivity in the past. He knows exactly the same thing. You don't want to go, you stay, you perish with this whole thing right here. They have deceived people on the fact that New Jerusalem has to sit in a place where you have to go to it or be brought to it. How else can how else can armies come against it if it's not on the ground or somewhere near the ground? But they have given you the false interpretation of scripture for the place where you think it's going to be, when that in itself is no longer valued by the Most High. If they were valued, they wouldn't be having to buy planes from people. Hello, the Most High doesn't need F-16s. The Bena Kongo doesn't need missiles. The Most High doesn't need anything man-made to fight for his people. This is the delusion that people have been faced with. You don't need C-5s, C-141s, nuclear missiles, none of that. Doesn't need any of those things to fight a war. This is the delusion. But see, what they have done to the Bena Kongo in secret is they have made you slaves mentally. First, they did it with the chains. They made you slaves with the chains and the metal. And then they used the money. Wealth became your slave. The pursuit of happiness, the pursuit of wealth. We actually see so many stories that they make about people who succeeded to become somebody and was like, oh, they were so low when they were down and out, they became somebody. Not understanding why were you low in the place you were at in the first place with people who claim to be following the Bible. Who call themselves religious or Christians, and these wealthy so-called multi-millionaires and billionaires say, oh yeah, deceivers. And this is why we need to come to the realization. Stop believing what they say, but look at what they do. For real, look at what they do. Because what they do will tell you the fruits of what they're about. Nothing really changes. They just rehash it with different modern technological advancements. And if anything, they're actually doing things to harm people even more. As we saw with the man who was talking about the modification of the food. Anything you do to alter the Most High, what he made, is going to harm your body, period. Anything that they do. What Tatanzambi didn't already create with his own creation, if it gets modified, it's not going to help you. It's going to create damage somewhere. It may look like it's doing one thing good in one part, but then it messes up something else. That's just how it is. This is the same philosophy they've always done to control the masses. You control what they eat, you control what goes in their body, you can control what they do. Bottom line. Okay. So I know this is something And I pray that the Tanzania will allow it, because, oh yeah, I wanted to talk about Revelation 17 real quick. So let's go to Revelation, and I'm going to show you what Simon Toko was talking about when he talked about where this kingdom is. See, the problem is if the kingdom is, if this is the mistake that many people made, you believe that the pastor was going to tell you, and go ahead and ask him, who is this talking about? Who is this talking about? Okay. There were 7 kings, 5 are fallen, 1 is, and another is yet to come. And the beast has not come, he is the 8th, and he is of the 7th. Who is the 8th king, 7th kingdom? Who is the 8th kingdom? Now, they always want to take you to the past when this is a future prophecy. This is why when they knew Pastor Mel, when not Pastor, Simon Toko said this, they said, you're smarter than we are. You know this. They knew that the 7th kingdom was England and that the 8th kingdom was the United States. But they're not going to teach you this in the assemblies because you're standing in the beast that Yokana is talking about. So they had to devise a way for you to not see it and to actually work in it as if you're doing it the right way, not realizing that you're really in a prison of your mind, which is what they did in the 1950s for a lot of people when they changed stuff. And it says it here, and the 10 horn which thou sawest, or the 10 kings will receive the kingdom yet as of yet, will receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. And this is where we're at. We're at that point. These have one mind, and this is going to be the UN. Once everything is put into place, okay. And at the point, they are making war. These kings that he's talking about are making war with Kuswa Kongo. But when they're making war against Kuswa Kongo, they're making war against everybody attached to Kuswa Kongo. This is Revelations 12 when he says, woe unto the inhabitants, because the devil comes to the, woe unto the inhabitants of the earth, to the sea. Okay, the devil with great wrath, but his wrath can look like a lamb, as he said when it talks about the lamb who speaks like a dragon. But the dragon is deceptive, as we know what happened in the garden, the serpent. Okay. And that's why he says, the waters which thou sawest, the whore sitteth on peoples. This is what we call Muntu, the Bantus, and Kikongo, and multitudes of nations and tongues. So this harlot sitteth on all of it. This is why we're saying her kingdom is everywhere, that the earth is where these kings are. But you call them presidents, you call them emperors, you call them whatever you want to call them. That's not what the Most High calls them. That's not what they are. You think you elected them. They caused you to pick who they wanted. Okay. All right. So, this is one of the things I'm talking about is when it comes to really seeing where we are today. And that's what the Most High said. It started with GW. And I know what the G is, and I know why the W is so significant, is because you turn it sideways, you get 3 degrees. Okay, but at the same time, it's like a Yahweh, the way, the Wa is the way. Okay, it's the deity concept that people don't understand. This is their pharaohs. That's why they have their statues up there, like the pharaohs, because they really truly believe they're like Ramses, and they're like Seti, and they're like what's his name, Akhenaten, and all these others, King Tut. This is what they are. These spirits are attached to these people because this is what they work with. Why do you think they want to keep digging up tombs of mummies? It's crazy. And remember, now is going to be the time where they're going to turn on the harlot. And I already saw this is something that I've even encountered, spiritually. And the 10 horns with the assault of the Pound of Beast shall hate the whore. They're going to start to hate. The whore is Ishtar. They started to hate her. And this is this war that you're seeing now that's coming upon us. And if that's why he says, come out of her, my people, because if not, you're going to be made desolate with the harlot. But see, the point is they're going to hate the whore because of the fact that it's all been lies that they've been receiving. You see, this is part of it. But of course, they also going to be the rulership of the one true king in their minds. So, all right, so I'm gonna stop here. But like I said, Zola Queen Sambololo, Retwabu, May Tatanzami continue to help you understand, because the reality check is here. They know everything right now is just for distraction as they move themselves into the positions that they want to be in. So the show must go on. That's what this is. The concept is the show must go on, despite whatever happens, until we get to the catastrophic level. And we've seen similar to what happened there. And you're on the verge of it's like it's kind of like we're at that point where it's like the house that's hanging over the cliff is inching closer and closer to the edge until finally it goes over and splashes down into the ravine or to the rocks or over the edge into the ocean. This is where we're right now, where that teetering, the house that's teetering on the cliff, and it's like balancing until it finally goes over. And the part that's going over is coming real soon. Anyway, Sambololo, Zola Quingi, inaweza ave Kongo kutwala, ingita.